Thursday, September the 28th. I want to welcome everybody back to the class. We're just going to continue where we left off in the last lesson. I just explained the module that we covered and the one that we're approaching now. So if you can quickly, let's share my screen here. I also got a nice email from Roberto telling me you were introduced for the, you got briefed for the collaborate assignment that you're doing as well. So we're going to talk about that one because there's a Photoshop component that's tied into this project or collaborative project that you're doing with multiple classes. So that's always a fun one. We had a really good experience from the students with that one. And I believe you also get to present that one as well. If that's the case, then we can actually set up, I don't know how the presentation is going to work. I guess I'm going to have to figure that out with the rest of the instructors. So we have, let me see here. All right, so back to the exercise that's due today. So the one with the torn photo, so make sure that's submitted. So that's due today at midnight. Okay, so that was the one we had to reconstruct the photograph from last week. That's where we ended up. I just like to always kind of visually show you where we left off. I think your job was to finish off the rest of it. There we go. So class number 3. So this was the proposition, and our job, the challenge was to put it back together. And I believe right. I kind of took you through it on how to put it back together. I purposely didn't finish it, just wanted you to do the rest with the same techniques we demonstrated last week. And that kind of wrapped up all the basic, intermediate, and some of the advanced selection methods used in Photoshop. I still want you to, integrate all the tools that are available for you to use. My birds are making a lot of noise here. Along with that, we also did some quick masking as well. The quick masking perfects the selection process, as you see. This way we can get every little pixel that's available for us to select or deselect for that matter when you do all these selection methods. So it's a very, very, very good lesson. The video, I believe, is uploaded as well. So make sure you can always refresh your knowledge with these lessons that we covered in the past. As this one is being recorded as well. So this was a good lesson learning how to use intermediate selections along with quick masking, okay? And that going forward will play a very important role for the other assemblies and montages that we're going to be creating from Photoshop. So I'm going to put this one away for now. I'm sure all of you did okay with that. So this also concludes the actual folder that I gave you to copy from the Blackboard. So this was the I'll just point it over here so we're more clear. So under your resources at the very bottom, I should stick to student view because it's a lot cleaner to look at. See, my view is different than your view because I have a lot of things I'm hiding. Reason is not to overwhelm you right away with all these things at once. I'd rather keep it step by step so you can focus on the things that are important at the moment and maybe a little bit of the future too. Not too far ahead. Like I'm not going to show you what we're doing in week 14 just yet, but you do have the critical outline to give you that. So if you want to see, you can always look. Layers and selections is where we got all our resources from. So we did finish the selections portion of this file. So if I just download it to quickly show you. So there's 2 here. So this one is finished. So we accomplished the selections.zip file. I hope by now, this is the 4th lesson, you're more comfortable with using the selection methods in Photoshop and some of the layer methods, of course, that are integrated with selections because usually they go together. And by doing these exercises and assignments, now you can face the bigger projects, which is what we're gonna do with the collaborative assignment that's due with the other classes that I mentioned earlier, and also some of the main projects that I'm gonna introduce to you as well. Okay, you're gonna have a project and a collaborative project, and that's pretty much how we're gonna do things going forward. These are creative assignments. I do want to give you some time for the lengthier ones because it's not like you can do so. It's not like your typical quizzes or tests on other subjects that we do. This is more like a creative assignment. So you do need a week, two, maybe three sometimes to get the whole project finished, as for some of the other classes as well. So that's why the setup is pretty good. It's balanced enough for you to hand in something every other week at least. Maybe not every week, but every other week for sure. And with that goes the bigger projects. All right, so let me just go to the, let me see here, the composite assignment. So these are the one I wanted to show you. I'm gonna have this visible to you now, and I'm gonna also have this visible as well. So composite assignment number 1. Now the main assignment itself was, I believe, given to you by Roberto in his typography class or page layout class, I guess. And then this way you know exactly what you're doing as far as the main theme. This particular assignment is the part that you have to hand in to me. I don't mind if you give me the whole, file structure and everything that you do in the other class, but I'm more interested into the Photoshop components that go in. I'm going to switch this to student view so I can see exactly what you see right now, so I can kind of see a little better. Okay, that's a lot easier now, right? So you have your class modules, of course, okay? And there's module number 4. Today we're going to get into this guy here, okay? And last week we finished this stuff. There's your class link lesson. So if you want to watch the lesson from last week, you can always access it from this area. And today we'll do the next one, and we're going to upload another video, the one that I'm recording at the moment. These are your class exercises and assignments. You can see here both of these are accomplished. You'll get another one very soon in the near future. These are your composite assignments. So this is where we're going to talk about what's happening now with this collaborative project that you're doing. This one's due November the 2nd. So just before or after we enter the midway through the semester. So today is like week 4. So week 5, week 6, week 7. So we still have a few weeks for this one to take place. Let's show you the actual content of this. So I do have a PDF that I give you. And a quick brief, okay? So basically, for this composite assignment, you will be demonstrating the Photoshop techniques learned in class to fulfill the objective for the overall final presentation. You are going to be doing a presentation for this assignment. I believe it's going to be near the end of the halfway through the semester. We have a system called 717. That means we do 7 weeks. And then we have a week off, like the reading week, which is the 8th week. And then we continue in week number 9. We do another 7 weeks after that. And then we conclude the semester right up to midway through December. I think we should be finished. So this is how it's broken up. This is the PDF I'm going to show you with all the detailed instructions. I kept it nice and simple, okay, with bullet points and all the criteria objectives, so you're clear on what you have to deliver. And I'll show you some samples as well. I mean, the best thing is show you some previous student projects so you know exactly what others have done. And I'm sure the other teachers, showed you the same thing. You're going to create a social media ad size as well, okay? Social media is a big part of, today's marketing or campaign strategy in many different fields and industries. So perfect time to demonstrate how you can effectively produce this for print and web at the same time. All right, now let's go ahead and look at the PDF. Okay. So you're creating 3 ads for a magazine, okay? And you're also gonna create a web social media ad for me, okay? So you're gonna do basically, well, whatever you're doing for this one. This one's a given for all subjects, but this one's in addition that you're gonna make for this particular segment, all right? Let me blow this up a little bigger so you can kind of read it better here. I have InDesign open here. All right, I'm gonna quit InDesign. My computers are very slow today. I don't know what's going on. All right, let's try it again. Is it time for a new computer? I don't know. Let's see. So magazine advertising campaign. Now I remember doing this stuff back in the Toronto Film School and the other schools that we used to work for. Myself personally, we would do a whole campaign of this. This was like a huge project. Far as doing the copywriting and stuff, the research, the prototype, the demographics. I don't think you're going that far with this, but it's pretty close because I know you're doing a whole presentation as well before you even start this project. I guess Roberto will be assessing your approach and some of your ideas. So he's your go-to mostly for this creative element. As far as the execution, the technical stuff, this is what's required for the Photoshop segment. So as you're aware, there will be separate grade components administered for this assignment for each class. For the digital imaging, which is the Photoshop class with me, you required the following items upon submission of the campaign project. Now, this is going to be repeated in the next one. There's another one of these coming up. So it's just to reinforce some of the important elements of Photoshop and then, of course, other sub-elements as well. So proper image optimization for CMYK and print resolution, which is 300 dpi. This is a very important bullet point because if you're a working professional in the industry, you don't know how to optimize images for print or a magazine for that fact to publish on a billboard, a magazine, whether it's a poster or anything, you have to know how to optimize at a high resolution. Okay, so this is something we're going to obviously look at, and you're going to know how to do this exact thing for your collaborate assignment. Print ready file formats are to be saved for the page layout documents as well. Okay, so you'll know how to save not just a Photoshop file, but you can do like a TIFF or other formats that support the print ready format. Layer masks, that's something that we're going to learn today and next week as well, are a more advanced feature of Photoshop to do more layer editing techniques. So with layer masks, you can also use them on some of the images to show like transparency, which means you can hide or show elements through the back of the layers. And that's why I use the word transparency for this one. The various selection methods are to be demonstrated along with images. This is a given. You can't do much without selections. So all the stuff we've learned so far, you're going to demonstrate that in your work. So I'm definitely going to see some of the, I don't know exactly what method you probably used, but I'm assuming you're going to use, if not one, two, three, maybe more methods to accomplish the job. That's why the word is various selection methods, okay? Layer blends. Layer blends are also to be implemented or demonstrated on some parts of the work. So this is not really mandatory, but I wanted you to see how you can implement layer blends. And today we're going to cover some of these layer blends that you can accomplish by using the layers in your composition to get this to work for you, okay? Layer styles. So layer styles are optional, but could also help with overall presentation, okay? So this is another one that you're going to consider when you do the actual, I guess, some of the graphical components for the composition. At least one filter is to be applied, subtle or drastic, to achieve the effect. I don't know if you remember, we did a filter on like the very first day. Remember we did that abstract design with the colors and the selections, the NFT, and then we actually made it. We did a like a cyclone effect. I believe it was twirl. It was the twirl effect. So twirl the actual design and made it look like it's blended together. So that was a filter. Doesn't have to be as drastic as that one, but there'll be other filters I'm going to show you that you can definitely implement on your composition as well. And lastly, good luck and have fun. That's the main premise here. If you're doing something like this, you gotta enjoy it. This is what's great about doing this graphic design, digital design stuff. I'm sure you all enjoy doing it. That's why you're here. So I always like to point that out. And there's your grade breakdown. So I have a criteria rubric set up where you have a criteria um, grade point for that, and you have a technical component and a creative component. And this is across many universities and colleges. It's just a standard way we like to mark these assignments. Okay, so it's over 25% of your final mark. Now, do keep in mind a grading system is set up in a way that you're not in kindergarten anymore. We're not just going to give you A's and 100%. Even if your work is that good, you're gonna end up probably with a 90. Okay, that's just how the system works. That's just we got to follow certain protocols. A 90 and over is a work of unusual excellence. So even if it's that good, you're still going to end up maybe in that range. Okay, 80 is also good. 80 is considered an A. So even if you get like an 85 or an 86 or something on your project, you should get yourself a tap on the back because it's still considered an A grade average. Anything below 80, okay, you're looking at like a B average, like 70s and stuff. That's something, I mean, I guess you can improve on that end if that's the case, but it's also not bad either. And anything below that, I guess you have to do some more work. If you're in the 60 zone or 50 zone, you definitely have to work on your presentation or your creative approach or anything else that goes. Okay, so that's how the grading works, and you'll see that across different subjects. Every teacher is different with grading. You're not going to get, whether it's a college or university, everyone has a different agenda, but we all try to follow a similar standard rubric here. Okay. Any questions about this? Oh, I closed it before I asked the question. Let's do it again. Any questions about this deliverable here? It's due the same time that you're handing it in. So do you know the due date that Roberto gave you? When was the due date for this?
I think it's October the 30th.
October the 30th. Perfect. Okay.
Also, I had a quick question about this.
Uh-huh.
So, the idea that I had like the idea for the entire campaign, but in terms of like what I'll do visually, it dealt more with creating designs in Illustrator. So, will I need to change my approach so that I meet all the requirements that you just told?
Yes and no. You can still use Illustrator and amalgamate Photoshop with it. You can still use a Photoshop component with Illustrator. And I can show you that also maybe with some exercises that you can do. I've had this question asked before by other students, and there was a way to mix up both of them because you can definitely use like vector shapes and stuff. I mean, let's face it, images in it, Photoshop's an imaging program. So it comes down to using imagery, textures, and things like that. Illustrator lacks that part. Illustrator doesn't give you many texture options. It's very clean cut, object oriented. It's got a unique style. So if you can kind of mix it up or change your approach in a way to meet both in the middle, that's probably the approach you might want to take. So
Understood. Thank you so much.
you're very welcome. But there's plenty of room to mix it up. Absolutely. Great question. Again, this was from, I guess, wow, it's been over 4 years now delivering this same project in a similar way with the way we utilize all these classes. There's always students that love Illustrator, some love Photoshop, and it's a good way to mix both up. I love Illustrator myself. It's one of my favorite programs, Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop, of course. So yeah, there's a very, very unique way to kind of mesh the two together, especially for things like this, right? And I can show you some samples, maybe what other students have achieved.
Also, later in the when we're in the process, would we be able to meet you sometime to discuss the idea and help you give us like the feedback?
Absolutely. But Roberto's more for that because he's giving you, like, I'm just giving you my Photoshop component. Roberto's giving you the overall delivery. I think he's got more of a handout,
Right.
more information than me here. I just kept mine simple to match my thing. But absolutely, I would be more than happy to drop by. I know I say that sometimes. I'm there Wednesdays, so maybe I can come a little earlier or maybe stay a little later. If you guys want to stick around after your class, I peeked in last time. I saw like a few of you. You were busy, and I don't want to interrupt Felice in the middle of his lesson either. But maybe I'll drop by after, maybe around like 11:30 if you guys are finished by then. Perhaps next week or the week after, I'll definitely come in and we can do a face-to-face, okay?
All right, amazing. Thank you.
Perfect. Great. All right, because I'm there Wednesdays. So if you want to just remember Wednesdays, just stick around for, after your, maybe I'll just, does Felicia finish early? I think we finish usually around 11 anyways. By 11:30, if he drags on, then I'll come by after that. Okay, maybe I'll see. Okay, what's the other one here? I wanted to, what else I didn't? There's another project that I wanted to. I know this is not my project. This is a collaborative thing that you're doing with the other classes. The project that I'm going to give you for my class is something that I'm going to talk about today, right? And the reason why I didn't do it last week is because I wanted to you focus on this exercise. And today, I know most of you finished the exercise. We can jumpstart to this project, okay? So let's talk about the project now. So this is the project for my class. This is the big one, okay? Let's see here. I think I have to switch my view here because I'm not seeing it on my student view, of course, because I don't have it visible yet. Okay. So main projects, here we go. So I'm going to give you an extension of this one because I know it's due like next week and stuff. But this is the movie poster project. All right, so this is the one that you're going to do for me. So you can start this one today, okay? After the lesson that we finish, you can start the movie poster project. Let me see if I remember that website that we had as well. Something talent. Talent House, I think it was. Let me just make sure it's there. A lot of good ideas. Talent House. See, I think I close. I'll find the website for you. There's a lot of competitions and events that happen with the community in regards to like posters and other things that you might want to participate in. I don't know if the website's down though. It's kind of weird, but I'll find it for you and I'll share it with you as well. Okay, so aside from the collaborative project, because that one you have a lot of time to do, because that one's a big one, because you got to include all your elements. This is kind of what's due before that. So I'm going to change the due date. So it's due 2 weeks from now. So this project is due 2 weeks from now. So it's not going to be due next week. It's due on the 12th of October. Okay. And this one is a movie poster project. Okay. So you're going to start it today. You're going to be designing a poster which will promote an event or movie that might be showcasing in the near future. All right. You will utilize all of the main Photoshop Creative Cloud application tools for image editing and background textures alongside other design methods to complement the overall presentation. You may also incorporate Adobe Illustrator. This is where I like to kind of open up all the fields there. So you can use Illustrator if you want to help you with for like the logos, the type treatment, because a lot of these movie posters, even if it's like a Netflix movie or Amazon Prime showcase, they all have some kind of a design with typography that's included. And I know typography is a much better capable software using Illustrator than Photoshop. Although Photoshop has a great typography, some great photography features as well. I like you to mix it up. So I'm definitely going to show you how to incorporate Illustrator with Photoshop for this project here, okay? Check out the criteria points below to get a better breakdown of these expectations. So here's your criteria. Minimum of 5 different image sources, themes related. Okay, so I wanted you to incorporate at least 5 different images. Even if it's graphics and not images, that's fine. Could be illustrations, could be other resources, anything that's create the composition for your movie poster. The technical uses include clipping masks. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that. layer masks, and quick masks. Quick masks we covered last week a bit. Remember Q, quick masking? So I want you to incorporate that with the selection methods you learned already. So in a combination of everything that you learn, selection methods and quick mask goes together basically. Clipping masks and layer mask is something I'm going to show you, okay? If you want to go with one and not the other, that's okay. As long as you incorporate, I guess, 2 out of 3 of these, you're fine, all right? Other suggested items may include symbols and layer or layer styles, okay? All right. And I'm definitely going to show you how this stuff works as well, all right? The color mode is CMYK. This is going to be printed, okay? The print is still around, so we're still going to be printing stuff. This is going to prepare you for the collaborative project as well, because I'm going to teach you how to create CMYK 300 DPI file structure methods. This way, when you're creating stuff for, let's say you're doing the other magazine ads collaborative project, then you know how to calibrate the right resources for that type of criteria. So we're going to work with CMYK, 300 DPI. And then once you switch it for social media, you just convert the CMYK to RGB and you lower the resolution to 150 or 72. Usually 72 is considered screen size resolution. So that's how you're gonna flip the script basically to accommodate each and every approach. All right. I kept the size 17 by 11. This is because it's a tabloid size. I know movie posters are like 22 by 32 sometimes, right? The last one I did was from the poster house there. It was around 20 and 30, 24, 36 sometimes. Posters are bigger in size. I kept it this size because a lot of you at home might have a printer, and a lot of printers can print 11 by 17. It's called a tabloid size. If you put together 8.5 by 11 and another 8.5 by 11 side by side, you're going to get 11 by 17. So it's like a bigger format. The biggest conventional popular format to print that won't cost you too much money. Even if you go to Staples and you print this, it'll cost you like $1.50, $2 most likely, because it's just a single copy of this size. And I want you to print this, frame it, and put it in your house. If be proud of your work, right? Why not? It's always nice to have your own work, and you can have a collection eventually. So it's a good way to have a tangible production for this. It's going to be a printed substrate on paper, and this is how the poster will look, okay? So file management will be Photoshop to PDF. You're going to convert it to a PDF because if you print it, it's not going to be, it's easier to print when you have a PDF file. Most printers won't have, even if you go to Staples, they don't have maybe the latest version of Photoshop. They might not be able to open it properly. So when you deliver a print file, you generate a PDF, and that's how you send it to the print house to get it done, okay? Oh, there it is, talenthouse.com. Let's go to Talent House for a second here. So this is the one I was trying to find to show you what's really going on here. So what's Talent House? Okay, so Talent House is a creative platform where you can actually go to partake in a lot of different, let me just go to there. It's a huge collaborative format, but I'm just very disappointed with their website doing this stuff. It was really, I don't know what's going on. Maybe their website got hacked, really. I mean, this was a different looking website as well. Let me see. Maybe you can, but there was a lot of events like movie posters and stuff that they're like competitions. You can get some ideas. All the latest movies were here. Like you can see some backgrounds quickly there. There was the new even video games, a lot of different creatives that they do, and you can actually go and partake into these things, and they paid out prizes. So winners will get like thousands of dollars if you placed an ad with these people here. And there's other I just have to look around the internet. There's other similar websites that you can participate in these challenges and get paid for it basically. So you can get a little bit of money. And not just that, to put in your portfolio that you got chosen, you're like the top 3 or the top 5, or the top 10 designs is a good way to, integrate with your talent and skill. So again, you saw quickly there the Joker, the what's the other one there? Deadpool and some other movie posters. That was some of the stuff we did with previous students. From my experience, none of my previous students have won these competitions, but some of them I think did come close and they did enter this stuff. So, I was hoping we can continue the trend. So we'll revisit this again for now. I don't think they're functioning as maybe as of yet, so I don't know what's happening with them. But those other resources we can look at. This is not even necessary. This is just a little motivational piece for you guys, just to kind of get your work up and noticed. All right. So this is the same thing: criteria, technical creativity. That's the breakdown. Okay, good luck and have fun. And this is pretty much what you're doing. So this is due 2 weeks from now. Honestly, I know if 2 weeks is not enough, I can give you a slight extension. But now things from now go a little faster. The beginning is always slow because I wanted to teach you all the methods that are available so you get comfortable. I believe by now you're at a comfort zone where you can do these things. And I don't want to overwhelm you with too many projects and assignments, but this is the project and the other one is a collaborate. So after that, I think you'll be okay till the halfway through the semester. Maybe one more assignment. I'll give you time in class to get that one done. And I try to tell all the teachers the same thing. And it's not just about giving you guys all these assignments and projects, but let's get some quality work from our students happening as well. Because most likely these projects that you're going to be working with, this will end up in your portfolio piece. The movie poster, it's going to be one of your portfolio pieces. So when you finish school, this is like your Photoshop portfolio. And so will be the book cover project is the next one. So notice how we're focusing on the print side of things. And then we flip it to the web side of things. So you're going to create a web prototype in Photoshop for like a website, but that's later. Okay. So first we focus on print techniques and then we focus on digital media or web techniques. And that's how we broke this thing up. All right. So sorry to throw at you all at once, but that's just how things are going to go from now on with these projects. At least we're getting them out there so you're aware of it. If you go to the calendar, you can always check things here. All right, so the photo restoration is due today. Next week, you have nothing due, okay? So you're clean for next week. You get to work on your movie poster. And the week after that, the movie poster is due, okay? And the advanced composition assignment, I think this one will have to move as well. I don't think it's going to be due then. I want to align it with Roberto's due date, so this way it's all together. So I'm going to have to just shuffle this one around. And
Hello?
yes.
Hi. Sorry, I'm just confused with the first composite assignment because we're making like the ad campaign one, and then for yours, do we just like add the element of Photoshop on the ad campaign that we're doing, or we're making like another separate like the ad for the social media?
So no, you're not making a separate one. It's the same one. So we don't want to give you like
Okay.
that one work, right? It's the same one. I just want you to incorporate Photoshop into the mix. That's all.
Okay, okay. So like the specs will like be the same, and then we'll just submit that to the Photoshop deadline.
Yes, exactly. So I'm gonna extend the deadline. When is the Roberto segment due? Did you guys say October
October
30?
30th, yeah.
Yeah,
30.
it's October 30th. Yeah.
So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to my thing right now. Let me see my Photoshop class here.
Oh,
Back.
and just one last question for the movie poster.
Yeah.
Um, does it have to be like a existing movie that will be coming up soon?
It could be anything. It could be even something that you've done in the past as well. um Sorry, not that you've done in the past, a movie that maybe like a lot of movies get recreated, like, right, sometimes they
Oh, okay.
they bring back how many Batmans or Spider-Mans are there and all these other movies. They recreate the same movie, they bring them back, and they just they do the whole I guess remastered version and stuff like that. So you can do like an older one, but it's nice to stay in touch with what's new as well. That's why I wanted this. I'm really disappointed with Talent House not working, because Talent House has all these movies that are coming out, and they give you the sources, so you can use all these image sources to make the poster as well. It was a nice slam dunk, but that's okay. If they're not, you can always look at here movie posters. Let's look at some ones on the internet here, and you can see here some of the movie posters. Oh, these are, see, people even collect. My former teacher was a big movie poster collector. He was also a good illustrator as well, so he would collect all these movie posters. It's a good collection. If you see some of the more Marvel, Disney stuff that's out there, I mean, this is kind of like great. See this kind of design, like Photoshop would be great for that, and I'm sure that's what they use to make this Avengers poster, right? So this is the kind of stuff you can do in Photoshop, and it's a great way to expose you to all the different Photoshop techniques and methods that you're going to be using. Um, you know, from some of the more epic movies, even from some of the other ones, some traditional ones, right? So let's say you like Back to the Future and you want to create a new Back to the Future poster. Let's say you can create your own fictional poster as well. Okay, so it's a movie that was done in the past, or they're recreating that they want to bring it back, or a show even. If it's a show, that's fine. Right now, Netflix has a lot of shows, and they do create these posters to promote them. So you can kind of do, if you want, it doesn't have to be a movie. It could be maybe like a Netflix show or an episode. I know other people, other students in the past did the other one. Look, The Matrix, they brought it back again. They did another version of it, right? So there's plenty of room and options for you to choose different themes, right? Oppenheimer, the movie theaters. So it's always a big um, deal when it comes to movies. The poster really has to captivate the audience. It's like a book cover. The next project is the book cover. Sometimes the book cover sells the book. The movie poster was supposed to sell the movie, the trailers, all these things to hype the movie up, so they'll get a bigger audience in their screening, right? So this is how it works. So movie posters, big deal. Photoshop, best program for it, because you can see how all the things you can do with Photoshop. It captivates the whole premise of the movie, as far as the actors, the theme, the mood, the environment, everything in one. And that's why the movie poster is a big deal. Okay, so this is something that you're gonna do for this one here. Even video games get converted to movies now, right? Or shows. So if you see a good mix of that, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm pretty flexible with this. Doesn't have to necessarily be a movie. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Uh-huh.
Um, as for the images that we use, we don't have to worry about copyright.
Yes and no. It's hard to get images these days. I know Google has a lot of stuff. If you want to get images, if as long as you cite them or kind of do like tell me, you reference the images where they're from. There's a lot of free images that you can get online. Good question, by the way. I always ask this one, right? So basically, Pixabay might have some images you can use for free. Pexels. What's the other one?
But if you're
Unsplash.
asking us,
Yeah,
sorry, if you're asking us to do new versions of things that already exist, there's no way we could recreate those photos,
exactly. So yeah,
right?
you just use photos, any photos that you find that you see. That's fine. Like how you gonna get a picture of a celebrity, let's say, or somebody that's part of the movie, right? So basically, you're allowed to use the internet, and you're doing this as a creative assignment. If it's a real movie poster and you want to make a professional design, then you have to obviously have all these pictures accounted for, whether it's a professional photography being involved, whether the resources are getting handed to you. It's one of those things. So for this one, it's fine. I can let things go basically, but don't forget there's a lot of free resources as well. Okay, you can get lots of free resources here. And now you have also I mean, even if you generate AI stuff, sometimes some of the stuff I see there, it's still getting there. It's not really all that good, but if you want to mix it up a little bit and put some creative work in there, I'll see the Photoshop results when you bring it in, so that'll work also, right? Do you guys know how to get your image sources? Let me list some of the few right now. So maybe I'm gonna add some links here right now. Maybe I'll create like a document for you. So Pixabay is a great website. You got 4 million images to choose from. There's a lot of stuff you can integrate here, okay? You don't need, with Google, you're not gonna get the high quality images unless it's something specific, like a logo or something you can get or recreate it. But some of these images you can use for free, and you can use lots of searches for this, okay? So Pixabay is definitely one that you can use, okay? The other one would be Pexels. Pexels is another one. Another free image source gallery, very popular one. And then there's Unsplash. Oh, this one I'll rather copy and paste the URL here. These are just a few that come to my mind. There's more, of course, but if you want to venture into other dollar photos, that's another one we used to use for like $1. You get all these photos. Right, so you can do a lot with this, okay? This is, and if you want to use Google, make sure you search properly with Google. I'm going to call this image sources. Image source websites, okay? This will be visible to you. All right. So under resources, there's a link that I just created for you. It's a document. If you open up, you can exhibit all these websites that I just demonstrated, and you can get all your images there, okay? And if you use Google, just have to be very search constructive, okay? So if I'm looking for, let's say, Captain America, okay? Captain America, and I'm doing an Avengers poster, maybe another type of Avengers movie that they're making, and who knows, maybe Captain America 3, right? So this is where you have to get kind of like creative, because you're not going to get the best quality images for 300 DPI poster. You got to be careful. And sometimes you might get a decent image too. So if you go to tools, you could do like usage rights. So you can get, see, commercial and other licenses, Creative Commons licenses. You can use both. We're not reselling this, so I don't think you'll get in trouble by using Captain America picture on your poster. So I don't mind, okay? I exited the website for a second. But what I was getting at is if you go to images, when you search for something, and you go to tools, you could go to size, and you could select large format. This way you get the largest format available. You can also select color. Now, if let's say I'm looking for shoes or hats and I select green, you are going to get all these green images. You see how it filters the search for you? The more you filter it, the less you get sometimes. So maybe you want to be very careful when you do too restrictive of filters. And here's the type: clip art, line drawing, illustrations, right? So you can really select some nice results at any time. Then there's the time filter as well, right? Usage rights, as I mentioned earlier, right? You can clear this and select a new approach. They're not bad, like the quality of these, like even this one here. So if you look here with the, look at this, 1280 by 720. Like if you go below 1,000 pixels, it's not going to be that good. If it's in the thousands, it might be okay for Photoshop, okay? So you could maybe perhaps use this, maybe we'll just use the actor's face and use something, or maybe we use this image here, we can extract that in Photoshop and utilize that image in my poster. So that's the kind of stuff you can do in Photoshop. And I don't think there's a problem doing this, okay? So with what I'm showing you here, by using these websites, use Google very cleverly to get these sources obtained. You can integrate them into the poster, because I know it's hard to get images, especially if you're doing like a celebrities and stuff. I mean, you're not just gonna find their pictures unless you're on social media or something. All right. So anything else? Because I want to start the lesson now because there's a lesson we'll have to start doing soon, but I think it's time. Any other questions? But these are all good questions, so I don't want to miss anybody's points here. But I think they were good and very valid for these assignments coming up. All right, let me just check up on you quickly, and then I can continue with the lesson here. There we go. All right. Keika, do you have a question? Let's see what
Oh, I was gonna ask question, but it's
Uh-huh.
okay. Thank you.
You're good? All right. Okay. And I can see everybody here. Very good. All right. So let's now start with the actual lesson and process here. We're going to switch it up. So if you can open up Photoshop, did you guys get the latest version? What version do you guys have? Do you have like 2024 or 2023? I'm just curious. Just hands up if you have the latest one. And how do you know? Well, if you go to the thumbnail, when you open Photoshop, look at my rollover. It says Adobe Photoshop 2024. So I had the latest update. So please tell me if you have it or not. Okay, good. So that was part of the subscription and it's up to date. Very good. Sometimes, depending on the school license, they might not give you the professional version just yet. So the fact that they're doing it, it's really good. Good news. And that means you have the latest up-to-date version. Okay.
Mine says 25.0 and it says 1990 to 2023.
So you have a previous version then. Again, it works. It's fine. It just maybe could be also your operating system. You have a Mac, could be a PC. You might have a Windows 10, Windows 11, maybe Mac OS, a previous version. Sometimes it calibrates with the system as well. But you can nonetheless go to the Creative Cloud like I'm doing it now. And look at this. You can just hit update Photoshop. See, update available. I have another update now. Look at that. So once you click the update available, I don't want to do it now because it's going to postpone my process here. So version 25 would be the latest version of Photoshop 2024, I'm assuming. So 25. Okay. And that goes for Illustrator. Look, version 27, Illustrator is at. Wow. Because they're going up the numbers here. Okay, so make sure you update your software. And if it's not compatible for whatever reason, the older ones work just as good. Zena, do you have a question?
Oh, no, I don't have a.
Oh, just had your hand up? Okay, all right. All right, so having said that, a lot of these new features in Photoshop, like the generative fill and all that stuff that's involved, it's some really, really cool stuff that you can do in the program now. So I'm quite excited to share that with you. And I'm learning new stuff as I go along because I got to keep up to date with my stuff also. But I also noticed that, you know what, there's nothing really that much new stuff under the sun. Photoshop's always been the way it has been since day one. They just add more tools and techniques along the way. And now with AI, it's a game changer, 100%, definitely. I'm going to open Photoshop now, okay? And then we'll get started. Just going to quickly go to the here. I guess we left off with our file. As I mentioned earlier, make sure this is downloaded, layers and selections. So if you click on that, you can download this. We're getting into the layer segment. So download this layers.zip file here. Click on the edge and click on download file. Okay, just go ahead and download it. If you haven't already, if you have, just open it up from previous weeks that asked you to download. So just go ahead and do that. So there's the layers.zip file. I'm gonna unzip it by double clicking on it. This will keep us busy for the next 2 weeks. Okay, this has different folders in there, just like the previous one, a lot more than the selections one. This is also hand-picked. These are the learning files that we're going to learn from. There's one called homework in here. This is just a good practice file. It's not really homework, by the way, but it's a good way to get familiar or to familiarize yourself with layers in Photoshop. So let's just open this up as a starter, just to kind of get warmed up here. So if you double click on the homework part, you'll see this. Just going to make my screen bigger here. You'll see this composition of all these different animals on this design. So you have a picture of a background of some kind of a outdoor setting, and all these wonderful animals all getting along right on top of it. The main thing with this one is using the move tool, auto select layer enabled, because don't forget a few versions ago it was disabled. So I was just reminding students how to auto enable select, so you can just click and drag without identifying the layer. Because before, like if you have a different setting set up, you had to identify the layer by doing this, visible, invisible. Once you identify the layer, then you can move it to a different position. So you have to select the layer and then move the layer. But now, because you have the move tool selected and you have auto select layer enabled, means you can just click on anything directly, like this polar bear, for example, and just move the polar bear here. So it's more like an object-oriented approach, which is very important because Photoshop is not really an object-oriented program. Illustrator is, right? Illustrator is all about object-oriented. You click on a shape or a curve or an anchor point, and that's what it's all about. Here, it's more like imagery and pixels, but it behaves like an object program because of the way you can interact with layers and objects, hence what I'm doing now. So this exercise was just a quick warm-up for you to go here and type in polar bear and just kind of know how to name layers, select layers, control layers, resize layers. Don't forget the shortcut under edit. You have free transform.
Milo, I have a question.
Oh yes, sorry.
I'll tell you what it happened is that I'm very tired and I did not pay attention at the right moment and I have no idea where this file is.
No problem, sure. So I'm going to show you right now, and let me just quickly see. Oh boy, here we go. Who had a question? Sorry, what's your name?
It's me, I'm Erin. Hello.
Hi, Erin. Hi. So, Erin, back again here. You want to go to
Where are we?
the resources, right?
The resources.
On the very bottom of the
Oh my god.
course, and you wanna download layers and selections. But when you click on that link, it's gonna take you like to this page where it has two options.
Absolutely.
So we finished this one. You want to go for that one, okay? So
Gotcha.
just click on the right and download this file, okay?
On the right, download the layers file. Okay, and then, okay.
Keep it in your desktop or wherever you feel comfortable there, and then that's the one we're using now. And if you open that file, and this goes for all of you, if you got stuck or you can't find that file, just make sure you just open the first one that I'm demonstrating here. The first folder, it's called homework. So I was just double clicking here, and it opened this file. And I'm just kind of going over the basics here, okay? All right. So yeah, this was just a quick little practice file to get you familiar with naming layers, showing layers, invisible layers, resizing. The shortcut again is Command or Control T. So that's your ultimate shortcut to resize almost anything. So you can just kind of go ahead and resize all these animals and just put them all in the right place and do all kinds of different stuff, right? So I don't want to waste too much time with this. It's for you to practice, but now that I kind of explained what it does and what it's for, you know, I would definitely take 5-10 minutes of your time and just do it when you're free and you want to just explore all these methods, okay? So let's go ahead and put this one away now. All right, so I'm not going to save this. All right, now the next one is called the preference tour. This is an older preference, so it's not really that valid, but it's an older interface. But if you want to customize your preferences in Photoshop, you can. I prefer the default, so I wouldn't even bother with this, to be honest with you. Just something for you to know that there's preferences. These are just some images that you can kind of utilize for other exercises. So not really a big deal, just an extra folder there for you. Don't forget, I can't keep up to date with these handouts because every time they make a new version, they change things. So it comes to a point where if it's like a major difference, then I'll produce something for you to have. But everything is here under Photoshop, right? You know, there's your settings here. There's your preferences, okay? So you can do general preferences. You can do interface preferences. All your preferences are here. Just go to interface, for example. And from there, you can access all your workspace. Maybe you don't like this gray theme. You want to go dark theme, gray theme, light theme. This was Photoshop back in the earlier days, and then it just went to this other preference now. There's another workspace here. It's like the tools and stuff. I'll be honest with you, I don't mess with this stuff because it's already set up. If you're at the school campground, they don't even let you do this because I think it resets anyways. Even if you do it and you show up the next day, it wipes out the whole computer. So it was a waste of effort. So let's just go with the way it's set up. And if you do want to, for whatever reason, come here and change something, you can definitely go ahead, okay? But I honestly think you shouldn't because a lot of the tutorials and lessons are based on the default preference, just to lessen the confusion, okay? So that's why I'm gonna put this one away. All right, layers. Okay, so this is definitely a lesson that we're gonna work with later, okay? This is gonna be like an all-out review lesson, lesson 2. So maybe I wanna right-click and color this red because this is like the important one. So if you wanna do the same thing, I like to use colors to designate certain things. Like I use green and blue and red and yellow if it's important. I have my color scheme set up and that helps me organize my visual files as well. All right, lesson 3 is called blend modes. So if you open this one up, we're gonna do this one right now. So I'll explain to you how blend modes work. And also blend modes are part of your criteria of your project. So if you look at your Photoshop project here, your movie poster project, I do want to see a few blend modes. I think this was supposed to be blend modes. I got to change this up. Okay, so incorporate a blend mode if you can in here, this project here. And also in the collaborative project they gave you for the other one, there's also a blend mode there as well. So in case you're wondering what are blend modes, so I'm going to show you how blend modes work in this particular lesson right now. So lesson number 3, blend modes. We're going to do this right now. Just to kind of go over the whole thing here. This is called the effects. So you're gonna learn how to do Photoshop effects here. This is layer masks. This is content that we're scaling, something similar we did last week, so no need to do it again. Just a reiteration of that. This is smart objects. Okay, so that's something else we can look at. And image size. Okay, so these are all just, a lot of them are just simple step-by-step little examples or tutorials. They're not really major, huge follow through assignments like this one is. This one is. That's why I saved it for last. It'll reiterate everything here and capture everything in one lesson. So we'll do this near the end today. That's my goal. But first, we're going to open up this blend modes folder. So let's go ahead and open that up. And open up the first file called multiply PSD, the Photoshop file. Go ahead and double click. When you double click and it's a Photoshop file, it'll open up the Photoshop software as you see it. What you'll see is some items here, okay? This is like merchandise or swag, whatever you want to call it, for different promotional purposes. A lot of companies like to put their logos on top of their or their brand on top of merchandise. So in this case, you have like a hoodie with this logo, and you have the hat over here, like the baseball cap, and then you have the mug, and you have like a CD or a DVD, an old kind of nostalgic type of item there as well. The goal is to put this logo. I remember doing this for a lot of different clients in the past. Before you sell 1,000 of these jerseys or let's say hoodies, you have to sell it basically. So you have to put the logo on it so it looks like it's a real logo, not just like this white background and stuff, right? The problem with these companies when they give me these jobs, a lot of them are blurry. So it's really hard to even clip this, even like using like the magic wand and stuff. It's not going to work really because the quality is cheap and poor. And I'm not going to spend time looking for good quality logos and images. It's just a mock-up to show them what it looks like on the internet. So it's not even good quality. Okay. So you're going to come across a situation like this where people get sloppy. They just give you really poor quality images. And even if you get like the magic wand, it's not going to select everything. You see, it's very hard to even do a selection process. So it's beyond our control at this point. But here's what we can do. We can definitely apply a blend mode to superimpose the effect so it looks like realistic. So in this case, if you notice here, it says multiply, right? Multiply means, and I'm just clicking on, I have auto select layer on. I'm going to click on this one first, the hoodie logo, this one. The reason why I move it and I put it back is because I think it has some kind of a cutout on it. We're going to go over here where it says normal. This is the blend layer mode area. And here I'm going to do basically multiply. Multiply is located right here. It's the third one or fourth one on the list. As soon as you select it, the logo is going to multiply, eliminating the white background. And the result is implementing the design right on the merchandise. The other one that works in conjunction with multiply is called darken. This one also produces a nice effect. I like both of these, to be honest with you. But because the exercise is called multiply, we'll stick with multiply. But darken also works just as good. Let's do the same thing with the hat. Now look what I'm going to do. I'm going to select the hats. I'm going to hold shift. Well, let's do the hat first. Here's the hat for the logo. Multiply. Let's click on the mug. Same thing over here. Multiply. The CD or DVD, I'm going to click here. Now watch this. I'm going to select both of these files. How do you select them both at the same time? You click on one, you hold shift, and you click on the next one. What Photoshop is able to do is select both layers simultaneously. So that means you can go over here and make them multiply, and you can multiply those particular layers as well. Very quick and easy way to take out the white background. A lot of logos have white backgrounds and they're not cleaned up, especially companies that are not too popular. Okay, so then you can definitely integrate this technique into any type of, especially now with the Shopify websites and all the e-commerce websites, and they all want to put their logo on a merchandise thing. I'm sure you've seen it everywhere. Quick way to do a mock-up and produce these images for websites to sell them online. Most logos, see here, dental logo. Right? Like most logos that you're going to get on the internet have like a white background. Okay. Some of them are, well, you can see some of them are transparent. If you get lucky, you'll get the checkered board marks in the background. But even that, be careful because sometimes it has the checkers, but it's not really checkers. It's just the checkers. So it's not really transparent. It's an illusion, actually. So this one has a lot of these logos have like a white background. So if I'm going to do like a dental logo, which I do a lot in my other industry that I work in, let's say I want to copy this logo here. You can right click, you can copy the image, or you can save it and place it in Photoshop. I'll show you both methods. Let me save it first. That's the best way to do it. You save this image. Actually, let me do this one here. Easier. Save the image on the desktop. Come over here. Let's say we're replacing this. Let's do the hat actually, or the mug. There we go. So I'm gonna delete this one. I'm going to place the new image that I got off the internet. I'm going to go File, Place Embedded. This is how you place images in Photoshop on top of other images. In this case, I'm going to superimpose the logo on this mug. And I go to the desktop. I'm going to select the dental image here, the logo, It's a PNG file. Place. I'm going to resize it and place it right here. Press enter. Now notice how it's very pixely. That's because the resolution of this image is pixely. There's ways you can control that by increasing it and decreasing it, but this is basically what the logo looks like, you see? So all you have to do is change this to multiply, and the white is gone, basically. You don't have to worry about clipping it or taking it out. It's just a very easy way for you to incorporate this effect on any merchandise. Very fast and easy, as long as you know how to work with your layers, okay? So that's how I can demonstrate this in another case scenario. All right, any questions about this? All right, let's move on to the next one. So I'm going to put this away. I'll do a quick save. All right, these are smaller exercises. These are the most three popular blend modes: multiply, screen, and hard light. Okay, hard light not as much, but these two are very popular. This one eliminates all the white pixels. This one eliminates all the dark pixels. So if you click on this second one, it's called screen. This one has another tutorial on how to make this effect. This is called a lens flare, just in case you want to make this from scratch. Okay, I can show you. Let me just, I don't want to waste too much time because I want to make sure I fit all my lessons in today. But if I go to filter, and remember how I said you can incorporate filters in Photoshop, and you can go to, I believe it's under render, and you have something called like lens flare. Okay, so if you render lens flare from Photoshop, and this could be on a blank layer, like I have like a layer with a black fill or something, but if I do it on the existing layer, it's just going to produce another lens flare effect on top of the image. So this can be anything that I want. I can have a lens flare. It's like a camera light reflection on the lens. That's why it's called a lens flare. And you can control the brightness, the position, the type of lens. If you're familiar with photography, you'll know what these numbers mean. 35 millimeter prime. You have 105 millimeter prime, movie prime. Okay, these are different type of lens effects. Okay, so you can control the brightness, the location, and everything else. I'll put this over here. Click OK, and now I've just added on top of my original lens flare the effect. This is stars. It's just an effect that's being created from these steps. If you want to know how to do those effects, there's a special tutorial for that. I'm not going to do this because it's optional. It's not recommended, but it just tells you the steps to do it. Okay. And the point of this one is to achieve the screen effect. So what that means is if you have like this white background, if I hide that lens flare black background, which just says sun on it, it's a star, and then we have the stars in the background on top of this background layer. The trick is if you were to change this to screen, it'll sip right through basically. Again, look at normal. Normal, you don't see none of the stars. It's just a black background. Once I do screen, what happens is the black sips right through the colors. It's like a see-through method. So anything that's on top of the black perceives right through. So now you can see right through this layer, which is the stars on top of the lens flare layer. So anything that's black gets basically diminished. Whereas the other one was anything that was white, like the logo, was also diminished. So, and these are two opposites. Like you have like a lot of shadows and dark pixels, and then you have like the light pixels. So either way, you have control over it. You can extract or subdue the background to get the effect to work. All right, so these are the very, very important ones. So screen, and the other one was multiply. So and multiply works for this too, but you see the effect is nowhere near as effective as it is if you use screen. All right. Any questions about that one? This is under the lesson 3 folder, screen mode. Just gonna quickly check up on you. Sometimes my connection interferes. I remember during the pandemic, I had the Rogers truck pull at my house here. I kept switching Bell and Rogers because they both kind of didn't do their due diligence with the internet, and although it got the highest speed, doesn't matter. It's the neighborhood. I live in like in a Etobicoke neighborhood with a lot of trees and stuff. And if there's like a one, bad weather event, sometimes it does affect your connection with the poles and all these wires hanging out. So got to check up on everyone. All right. Everyone's good. Perfect. So let's continue. The next one is called hard light. This one here, it's a little bit of both. All right. It's a creative type of approach. By the way, this is the handout. So everything that I'm doing here is explained. So the blend mode specified in the options bar controls how pixels in the image are affected by painting or editing tool. It's helpful to think in terms of the following colors when visualizing a blended mode's effect. So the base color is the original color of the image. In this case, we had the black being the original color with the stars and the sun, right? And then you have the blend color is the color being applied with the painting or editing tool. And the result color is the color resulting from the blend, basically. You don't have to remember this, but just if there's some kind of an explanation, this would be it. It's more like a visual effect. So until you kind of visualize it and apply it, you have to experiment with different blend modes to achieve the right effect. So don't think this is carved in stone. This is just a basic explanation of how blend modes work. So multiply is what we did right now with the first one. Screen is what I just did with the second one. The one that I'm doing now is called hard light, which I'm doing next. So that would be this one over here. Okay, so if I open this up, this is the image that you see. So you have this, even has a layer mask, which we're going to get into next. I'm going to teach you how to create your own layer masks here. So we're going to do that one after, but for now we're going to use what's called hard light, because this image is on top of this background texture, and the background is just a texture of some writing inscripted on the background. So if I change this to like darken, you see that'll work that way. Multiply, this you can experiment all of them. You might like some of them, some other ones besides the ones that we're designating right now. Like some of them look pretty decent as well. But hard light is the one we're after because that produces that exact result. So the hard light produces the pixels, the dark and the light pixels to all be accumulated at the same time. So you have this harmonized, very visual, vivid effect called hard light by blending the pixels together. And that works well with two images. So I've seen movie posters and other designs where you have a lot of incorporation of, backgrounds and images together at the same time. So it's not just a clipping, but it's pixels integrating with one another. And that's how blend modes actually work, okay? So today's main topic is layers, and with layers come the blend modes, and this is why we're doing all this. Not to mention things like opacity, so you can control how much of this effect you want it to be visible, okay? So you have the opacity factor, you got the blend mode factor. Of course, you have like the visibility factor. You can hide or show the layer. So these are all the main elements of layer attributes, okay? Now, there's a few other miscellaneous ones I'll cover, but for now, I want to keep it simple and very clear and direct of what we're learning. All right, so any questions? I'm going to save this one as well. All right, so these are, again, the three popular blend modes, and these are like a staple in Photoshop. Most professionals use them for various things depending on the pixels and the colors and the situation that's involved. Okay, next is called effects. So this is an interesting one because now you get to use layer effects in your composition. This one's going to definitely help you with the movie poster. So for this one, we're going to just close some of these images down. So this is the layer styles and layer effects that I'm talking about. So this is definitely something that you might want to consider adding to your movie poster because it's going to help you create these styles. If you want to start with this one first, this is the handout. So it tells you all the steps involved. Photoshop provides a variety of effects such as shadows, glows, and bevels. If you don't know what bevels is, it's like an actual three-dimensional look when you have something engraved on a surface. It's called emboss or deboss. Something could be carved inside or something could be popping on the outside, like a plastic packaging bottle, and you have the letters coming out like an embroidery thing or whatever. All right, that changes the appearance of a layer's content. Layer effects are linked to the layer contents. When you move or edit the content of the layer, the same effects are applied on the modified contents. For example, if you apply a drop shadow to a text layer and then add the new text, the shadow is added automatically to the new text. That's because it's the same layer. So whatever effect you have on the layer, it resides in that layer, no matter what's there, basically. A layer style is one of more effects applied to a layer or a layer group. You can apply one of the preset styles provided with Photoshop or create a custom style using the layer style dialog box. The layer effects, the icon, which is the effects thing that I'm going to show you, appears on the right corner of the layer's name in the layers panel. You can expand the style in the layers panel to view or edit the effects of the that compose the style. Okay, so this is some of the stuff that we're going to learn right now. We're going to create a beautiful, this is actual poster that we're going to work with. We're going to use a drop shadow effect and a bevel and emboss effect. So these are the most three common popular ones. There's other good ones, of course, but these are the three that we're going to be covering. With those three, you can explore the rest of them as well. So let's go ahead and open this file. This is, again, we're under lesson 4, today's layer lesson that we downloaded from Blackboard. Okay, we're going to open up lesson number 4, effects. I want you to open up this icon here. It says DS glows. And this is The Rise of the Planet of the Apes, a very popular movie, an epic one from the original. I think they did a remake, and this is the movie poster for it. Okay, I don't think it's the original movie poster, to be honest with you, but it's just a composition that they made for the exercise here. The problem with this is the quality is really low. You can tell because, look, 100%, as soon as I zoom in, you can see the pixelization. Even this is not as clear. So this is strictly for like, social media, I guess. Another way you can tell is by going to image size. When you open any image or any composition, you can check the size by going to image size. And you can see it's only 72 dots per inch. The width is only 960 pixels by 1280 pixels. Again, it's social media adaptable, but it's nowhere near for print. If I print this, it's not going to become it's nowhere near going to become the quality that you might expect. What's this? What does this equate to inches? Well, if I change pixels to inches, it's 13 by 17. So the size isn't bad. It's just the resolution is pretty low, right? So that's how you can quickly convert one number to the next to see the equivocal of that unit. Okay. All right, so as you can see the layers here, there's the text drop shadow layer, which is this one here. Okay, this is the drop shadow layer. You have the actual shadow. Let me just double click on this to expand this a little more. This shadow, I guess, I'm assuming it's the shadow of the planet. See, it's an actual separate layer that was made, probably airbrushed, if you ask me. And it's situated here to show like the dark side of the planet, I guess. Don't forget this can also be controlled with the opacity. Okay, so you can control more or less of how much opacity you want this thing to have, right? Right. Then you have some of these other layers which produce this gassy effect. These are just clouds. I mean, you can make this yourself by going to, let me just show you quickly how to make one of these effects. I'm going to create a new layer here, layer 8. And because I have a yellow and a white, see, it's all about what colors you have on your foreground and background colors. So if I do yellow and I'll click on the background, yellow and red, okay? I get the ketchup and mustard colors, yellow and red. If I do filter, render, clouds. This is the most popular startup effect for any texture in Photoshop, as well as these other ones. But we're going to cover those a lot later. But if I do clouds now, I'm going to get this yellow mix and red clouds. If I do filter, clouds again, it's going to give me a different random result every single time. And then these were obviously subdued with the blend mode of some kind. So you can do like, let's say, I don't know, darker color, blend mode, even this one, color dodge. You can try different things. And that's how they made these other layers. And that's a layer mask that was affiliated with it as well. Okay. All right. So I'm going to just delete that just to quickly show you how that was done. Let's go now get into the layer effects that we're going to be applying. Okay, so this is the Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I'm going to click on this layer. The steps are actually right on the handout. So you can see here, it tells you open the file, select the planet layer. At the bottom of the layers panel, select the effects button and choose outer glow. This palette has style on the left, right? And tells you to change some RGB attributes. Now we could follow instructions, which is good for you to know how to do, but I also want to leave it optional for you to create your own color or style effect. But let's just pretend we're doing this step by step. That means I would, click on this effects button. Let's do that right now. So if I click on the planet, make sure the planet is selected, not the shadow, but the planet. All right. And it's telling me to click on this little effects button down here. You see that? Right down here. And then you can click on the effect that you're looking for. In this case, I believe it was outer glow. But me doing that, I opened the layer style panel, right? Let me show you a better, easier way to accomplish this. This is my preferred way. I don't mind these handouts I'm giving you, but sometimes I have a quicker way. Well, here's what I do. I select the layer and I simply double click. If you double click on any layer, especially this one, double click, you'll have the same thing show up. So whether you do this way or this way, and you can pick anything, doesn't really matter, it still opens up the same panel, okay? The difference is this one already predetermines what you want to do. So if you want to do like outer glow, it'll already check it on and get down to business basically, right? Whereas if you just double click, you get to select whatever you want. So in this case, I'll do outer glow. I'll click on outer glow. But don't just click on the check mark. Rather than select the outer glow tab, only then you can control the outer glow layer style settings for the planet. So again, double click or click down here, select the desired effect or style that you're looking for, and then it comes down to changing the settings on the right. So in this case, we have a screen. See, again, a blend mode now is going to be affiliated with the effect. I will stick with screen. Maybe I'll do normal. I'll make it really, really impactful here. So I'll keep it normal. All right. I'm going to increase the spread and the size just so we can see what we're doing here. There you can see now it's starting to glow the planet. These are the main elements of the effect. So the spread and the size. And of course, then comes the color. So if I want to have a certain color, let's say I want this pink color or something like that, we can change it to that as well. Now, according to my instructions, I do have something like red is 50, green is 150, blue is 150. So 50, 150, 150. So that means if I click here, there's my RGB scale. So I'm going to do 50, I'm going to do 150, I'm going to do 150. So 50 red, 150 green, 150 blue. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. So by me doing that, I can then, and the spread is 20% and set the size to 40 pixels. So that means the spread is 20% and the size is 40 pixels. So this gave me that desired effect. And again, you don't have to follow these numerical values. You can come up with your own. So now that I showed you how to do both, you can just switch it up quickly by going here. Let's get a really bright color going here, like a nice yellow or something like that. And then maybe just increase the spread a bit more, right, with the size, really make it pop out, right? You can control the opacity, right, to whatever degree you want. So this is what I like about this. Visually, don't have this covering because you can't see. I would move this over so you can see the effect directly on the screen. Sometimes this gives you a preview, but it's good to keep it on so you can see what's happening. And you can see how intense it gets here. Same result applies over here. And I would switch this to normal because if it's like the other ones, you can barely see it sometimes. Was it screen? Was it multiply? Yeah, it was probably screen. Screen works as well. So you can leave it on screen, yellow, whatever color you want, opacity and stuff. Set it up like that. All right, so this is how you can do a basic glow effect. You can see how effective this would be, like all these movie posters with special effects, whether it's a radiation effect or some kind of laser, galaxy, light effect happening. This is how you do it, okay? Alrighty, so the next thing here we're going to do now is continue with the other effect. So I'm going to just quickly go back to my handout. Oh, inner glow. There's another one. So yeah, you can incorporate more than one effect on the same layer. It's asking us to do an additional effect called inner glow. Notice how it did outer glow, and inner glow are the opposites. One is on the outside, one is on the inside. So how would I add an additional effect to the current effect? So if I double click again, now that I have outer glow set up, I'm going to go and look for not shadow, but inner glow also set up. And for that one, the parameters are 60 opacity, 0 and 22. So 60 opacity, 0 and 22. Okay, so it's giving me a nice little white halo glow within the inside of the planet. Pretty nice and intense, actually. I like the effect. So it gives you that nice highlighted type of surface. And of course, you can modify it further if you wish. All right, and this is how you can accumulate multiple effects. Now, the thing is, you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to start doing this and this and this and this. It's not going to look like anything after that. You want to stick to only a few. My rule of thumb would be like, it's like a font rule, you know? You can't use more than 2 fonts on a design, 3 maximum if that's the case, right? So you want to keep it simple, 2 to 3 effects, no more. Sometimes it's a little too heavy and then it'll take away or distract from the theme. So keep it within 2 or 3 the most, and you should be good, okay? So that's now demonstrating how to do 2 styles in the same composition here of an image on a planet, inner glow, outer glow. Keep in mind, you got to click on the tab, because if you just check the mark, you're not going to get the settings to show up. You literally have to click on the tab to have this visible, okay? After that, what you'll see is the actual effects show up underneath the layer. So if I close this little tab here and I open it, you can see how the effects are. There's the inner glow and there's the outer glow. See, you can control the visibility of individual of the effect or the entire effect as a whole. You can control that. So before and after, it definitely made a big impact on my layout by using these layer styles and effects. All right. Any questions? If you're doing this with me and you have any issues, please let me know. If you're just watching me, that's fine because this is being recorded as we speak. So you can always later try this at home and pause it and play it and stuff.
Quick
All right.
question.
Yes, go ahead.
Me and I ask all the questions.
Of course.
So I was following along and then I like exited the window that is layer style and then it like disappeared. So I don't know, probably didn't press OK or whatever. But now I've gone back into the layer and tried again and like it doesn't show up. And I'm just wondering if like I've forgotten to select a box of some kind that it will activate this layer thing.
The main thing is, Aaron, is the fact that you, as long as you're in the layer itself,
I
and
am.
you double click, and this
I did do it.
option opens up, right?
Yeah,
And do you have these both checked on, inner glow and outer glow?
I do.
And if you just, let's just say I cancel by accident, just
Yeah.
it does remember what you. So your question might be, did I accomplish what I was set to do, or did it remember what I did? The answer is
I did
yes.
not remember what I did.
But do you have
That
something?
might be a me problem.
So do you have something here that says FX? And if you open it up, do you have the effect showing or no?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't. Okay, so double click. Do me a favor, check on
Yeah.
inner glow and check
Yeah.
on outer glow. Mess
Yeah.
around with the settings here and click OK. Click OK, because if you maybe hit cancel, it didn't do it. Maybe that's like maybe it didn't remember. But if you click OK, it should add the effects afterwards.
It's not like, oh, maybe. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. No, it's not doing it. I don't know why. I feel like this is a
Can,
a
can you
bigger question.
can you share your screen?
I can do.
Please, yeah, let me see it. This is important because listen, and I appreciate you asking the questions because some people maybe don't feel they want to ask the questions. So good on you for doing it. Let's see the problem here because this happens all the time. It's not the first time. Sometimes it could get finicky with the layer styles and layer effects.
Here I am. Okay. I'm
Oh,
also
nice.
very tired and I feel like I sound very unhinged today. Okay.
Favor cancel right now though.
Cancel. It's gone. Nothing.
So there's
Here I go.
So I want to make sure the layer is selected. Perfect.
I did do it. Inner glow. Outer glow. Oopsies. I have been doing this. I have been clicking the correct thing.
No, you
Okay.
you did everything right. You did everything 100% right. Here's what I need you to do though.
What?
I need you to increase the opacity to like 60 or 70, right?
Yeah.
I also need you to increase the spread and the size on those
Spread
layers.
size.
Not too much, not too much, just a bit.
Oh my god. Okay.
There you go, just a bit. Keep the spread below the size, like that. Maybe lower the
Keep
size
the
a bit more.
spread below the size.
You see that?
Wow.
That's a
I
good
can
mix
see
right
that.
there. And then you can
That's
control the white. Click on the white box. You can pick any color that you want.
Boop.
But you didn't pick the color. You see what you just did there? You clicked
No.
on the do the same thing.
Yeah,
Move
here it is.
the hue, and now move your cursor to the left to pick the actual color.
Oh my goodness.
You see, because that's the overlook that step a lot.
I call that bad UX. That's what I call that.
This is why we're doing UX next semester with me. We're gonna make sure
Mhm.
all the UX stuff are done properly.
Cool.
All right, nicely done. Same thing goes for the inner inner, right? Just increase the choke and the size.
Oh
There,
my god.
right?
What a time to be alive.
Very good.
It does not look like I did anything.
Oh, that one? Oh, it did on the inside. You can barely see it a bit. It's a little subdued, but if you increase the choke a bit more, reduce the size, increase the opacity a bit. Increase the opacity. A little
There
more.
it is.
There you go. You see how it's highlighted?
Gorgeous. I'm thrilled.
Highlight the surface a little more. Yeah, it's out of this world, eh?
Sure is. Cosmic. Thank
right.
you.
You're very welcome. Very good. All right. Any other questions from anyone? Abdullah Araz, do you have a question? Okay, let me know because you have your hand up. Maybe your mic's, I don't know, your mic looks like it's on, but I can't hear you. So I'm gonna get that chat bubble here going. I don't know why that chat bubble doesn't work. We'll figure it out because I know sometimes the microphones might not be working properly. So let me know, okay? We'll figure it out. You can always private message me if you have a question and I missed something. Keep in mind, this is being recorded. We're past the 2-hour mark. So whatever we're covering here, it's pretty much very thoroughly explained and recorded for you guys, okay? Not to mention the handout you have. Like you have these step-by-step tutorials on the PDF. So not only I'm reading through this with you, I'm executing it in a video format. All right, the next thing is the drop shadow. So this is a very interesting and a popular effect, whereas we're gonna select the text layer, and we're gonna do the same thing with the little effects and apply this drop shadow effect.
Oh, I
Uh,
think you need to share your screen
oh,
again.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for pointing that out. Appreciate it. Let's go ahead. So there it is. All right. So the next thing is we're gonna do the drop shadow effect. This is the one that's very popular with, especially with type. I I I like the drop shadow. I use it a lot with a subtle method of drop shadow, not too much. It just makes that the text pop out a little more than usual. You'll notice when you right now you probably have a different view on things when you go to a store, a grocery store, you go to a drugstore, you drive or you commute down the streets of Toronto, you see billboards and signs. You'll pay attention to things like fonts, colors, images, effects. Okay, and you'll see a lot of these things happen. So with this one is the Rise of the Planet of the Apes title. It's not a text layer, so it's just a rasterized image that looks like text. So because I can't edit this, I can't really change the font at this point. It's already done. What I can do is make it a little bigger though, just to kind of liven the effect a bit, right? And to make it pop a little more, I'm going to give it a drop shadow. It even tells you here, drop shadow. Double click, okay? Open up the layer styles. Go down here where it says drop shadow at the very bottom. Make sure it's active and selected. And then you can increase the opacity. I'm going to go past, maybe the 70 mark. Notice how it's affecting it already. I'm going to increase the distance slightly. You don't want to overdo this one a lot. It's not like the glow. It's very subtle. Like we're talking single digits here, like 5, 9, and 9. Okay, so you can see how this affects that one. So 599. All right, maybe 8. I'll click OK. And I'm going to hide the effects and show the effects. So definitely a game changer when it comes to making this text more apparent or more dimensional because it creates like it's on top, it's popping up a bit, the planet, then you have the galaxy in the background. So you have a lot of different levels of dimension. Thanks to the effects though, this stuff is possible. And it definitely makes a difference in your overall delivery of your design, whether it's a movie poster, any type of advertising or something, it definitely is a game changer. If I hide the effects altogether, you can see how it looks a little flat. And sometimes flat's good too, depending on the design that you're putting forward. But definitely the effects bring it up a little more to that type of noticeable presence. All right, so the last one is bevel and emboss. This is a separate document, so I'm gonna close this one and open this one for that. Okay. This one asks you to open the file, do the same kind of thing, change the pixels to 2, and do the settings here. And I'm probably gonna do my own settings anyways, but you can follow this if you like. This is the file that we're gonna utilize. I'm gonna close this one down. Unless you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, this was a good example of how to apply all these effects to your current project that I assigned to you this morning, the movie poster. So this is what you want to do. So I'm going to close this one down. Sure, I'll save it. That's fine. All right. And now we're going to get right into the movie poster here. Maybe I'll put this one here as well. So it's called Bevel PSD. So let's double click on it. This is already generated for you. I'm just going to hit Command plus, like zoom in, Command plus. That's the shortcuts that are universal for all Adobe and other programs as well. Command or Control if you have a PC, minus or plus, zooms in and zooms out to your canvas area. And of course, if you hold the space bar, it gives you the hand tool. So if you're like zoomed in too close, you can always pan your environment by holding the space bar. You can move your screen around just like this, right? And if you want to zero in back to your original bounding box of your image preview, just hit Command or Control 0. It'll zoom right out in case you lose your work. Sometimes I have students that do this. They'll get the hand tool, like they'll literally, I think it's like an XD on Illustrator. They can't find they lost their work basically. Like they lost this preview. By hitting Command 0, it'll zero in right to your target. All right, so let's get back to the steps here. We have a steel layer. and we have a background layer. To control the visuals, I'm going to hide the background layer so I can clearly see how the steels one looks. It's weird. It's still showing. Did my Photoshop just freeze? I think I just froze the file. See, I was doing all this zooming in, zooming out stuff. Let's try it again. Zoom in again. Here we go. Hide the background layer. What happens is, and this happens to you, look, this is the second time today. Photoshop is getting buggy. As they rush these updates, sometimes they, I guess, maybe some of the plugins or extensions are not up to date. So they got to power it up a little better. But anyhow, if that happens, restart the file or restart the program. And as you can see here, I just fixed my mistake. Rather than trying to pound your head and figuring it out, like, why is it not working? Just restart it sometimes, especially if you have your work saved. You don't want to make sure you save periodically so you don't have to lose any of your work, of course. So always make a habit to save it every 15 or 10 minutes of your work. Just simply go to File, Save as you're working in progress with any type of work, whether it's Photoshop, Illustrator. InDesign, I had InDesign crash on me a lot because I'm doing, like, let's say a big catalog with like hundreds of pages, and sometimes you need that RAM or that space, right? So here we go, the background. Here you have something called steel, and the whole premise of this exercise is to basically execute this bevel and emboss option by double clicking and the options for structure, change the size to 2 pixels, okay? So basically we're gonna click here. Here's bevel and emboss. All right, and you can change this to any type of contour, texture, right? I'm gonna leave this two alone for now. I'm gonna show you the different types of bevels, and you can see how that bevel looks. It's like a 3D type of effect. Another popular one with a lot of type effects. So the depth you can control, right? You can control the size. If you do too much, you'll lose the effect. So be careful. This one has to be also like single digits, like 4 to 9 kind of thing, right? Maybe I'll do like 8. Even that's too much. You can also control it with the arrows, like down, 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 up, 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 smaller increments. I'll leave it at 3. Okay. The soften basically softens the edges. So it's more like it blends the actual chisel effect. So I'll do like 2 here, and I'll do 5 over here. So 2 and 5. See how it's very subtle. The depth also determines how strong the effect is. So if I want like a real hard chisel effect, I'll just go like push this all the way to, let's say, I don't know, 500 or so, right? You also have the highlight and the shadow factor, which control the light coming from a certain direction. That's why you have like a global light, or you have like an actual universal light. Okay. So global light means if you have it, it'll affect all the layers in the document. If you turn it off, they'll all have their own individual light presence. And you can change the light direction by clicking on this little spherical icon here. You can control the light and the dark. So I'm going to increase this to maybe 100% and the dark to 100 or maybe less. So you can definitely strengthen the result of the effect. And that's how you can control bevel and emboss in Photoshop. I don't see bevel and emboss utilized too well in InDesign. I don't think it has such a thing. Illustrator is different because it's with vector shapes, so you're not going to get the same effect. This is where Photoshop really shines when it comes to these effects: the glows, the shadows, the bevel and emboss. Not to mention you have different bevels. You have like what's called an inner bevel. You have an outer bevel. Outer bevel means it goes on the outside. So you see the big difference between inner bevel and outer bevel, right? Then you have what's called emboss, which is the standard emboss. Okay, I kind of like the emboss. It's one of my favorites, I guess, if I was to go there with comparing all three. And then you have pillow emboss. This one's also an interesting one because it looks like it's chiseled within the metal. So it looks like it's carved in. like it's stamped basically. And you can control the depth here, right? So you can do a chisel effect. And then you have what's called a stroke emboss. Not that popular, but it works on that stroke basis. So you can see how you can control all these different effects. And once you click OK, you can definitely move this anywhere on the document. It's coming out a little bit here. All right. So that's how you can do an emboss effect on your stuff. And this is just a texture we got off the internet. Now, a lot of students are asking me, well, this is all nice and everything, but how do you do this from scratch? Like, how would I do this on my own without the help of these little exercises that you're presenting? So basically what I'm going to show you is how to do this all on your own right now from scratch, okay? So this is the time where I'm going to ask you to put this away, just close it, save it, and we're going to create a new document. So file, new, okay? And I'm going to ask you to make, let's say we're doing a movie poster. So right away, I'm going to go to, next week, we'll do a nice review of the poster setup too. So listen, I know I'm giving you like 2 weeks for this. So come up with a theme, gather the images, come up with the concept, and get it started if you can. But next week, we'll actually go through the whole process of doing this. We'll do like I think I call it the city poster or something. We'll create our own poster design, and I'll get you started on this. And for next week, I'll give you some time in class to wrap it up too, okay? But this will be 11 by 17. So if I'm doing a movie poster right now, this is what I'm setting up here. 300 dots per inch. This is the quality stuff, 300, not 72. It's going to be CMYK mode, color. So this is how you want to set up your movie poster as you start your design. So when you hit create right now, this is the size it's going to be. All right. So I want you to select maybe half your document like this, maybe 3/4. And if you notice, that's why I asked you this morning, how many of you have the latest version of Photoshop? Because you have this is the new features here. See, look, you can do modify selection, for example. Okay, this one here does invert selection. Remember, select inverse. Create mask for the selection. Okay, so remember this one does the masking part, or you can do just a shortcut to do the mask from here too. This one does fill. Okay, so you can do fill. You can do, let's say, foreground color, background color, right? It'll fill it for you, right? This creates an adjustment layer, okay, which is really not recommended at this point. That's for like color correction and stuff. So lots of cool things you can do here. You can hide the bar by accident. If you do hide the bar to get this, sometimes it's annoying when I first use it. I'm like, I don't need this bar distracting me. So if you want to get rid of it, just go to the, just hide the bar basically. But before I hide the bar, I want to make sure I can access it here. I think it's here somewhere in the bar. You can also type in bar. Contextual task. Oh, it's under select. Contextual task bar. They moved it. You see, look, they moved it not even a week later within the program. Contextual taskbar is right down here under select. Whenever you're looking for something, you can just type it in the help menu and it'll show you where the location of that particular palette is. Because if I was going to do this and hide it now, how do I get that back, right? I'll click on window and select contextual taskbar to show you. Click the window menu. See, it's not even here though. Oh, there it is on the bottom. Never mind. Contextual taskbar is here, but it was also under view. Oh boy. Yeah, I guess it was under window. So I guess it's always been here. It's just they moved it on me when I was doing the preview. So that's how you can access this contextual bar. Why is this so important? This is the big hype about Photoshop with the new version, because you can do a lot of cool things quicker this way. Now let me explain to you how generative fill works. This is like the game changer right here. So if you click on generative fill, I don't know if you know any AI prompt software that you've used before. You can type in, let's say I want to type in wood texture. Okay, I'm going to press enter. What Photoshop is going to do, it's going to create a wood texture for me in this particular selected area. In the past, I would ask you to go to the internet and gather some wood texture from the actual internet. What happens when you generate a wood texture? It gives you more options than one. Here's a second option. Here's a third option. Okay. If I'm not happy with these options that Photoshop came up with, I'll just regenerate a new one and just hit generate some more. So now I'm going to get 3 more options. It goes by threes, I guess, and you can change the preferences, I think, to that. And this is like the game changer. Before I would go to, so this is not bad. See, different textures here. So I'm definitely gonna maybe, you know, I don't mind this one actually. This one's good. I'll stick with that one. You can also delete some of these generative texture options that are available through, this is all AI image generated stuff. Like chances are of you getting this, it's not gonna be like on the internet, right? It's like AI composed of. So if I go here and I type in wood texture, it just saves us time. I don't want you to think this is the only way to do things, because if I go to wood texture on the internet, I might get better options here sometimes, you know? Like I might like the mahogany, but then again, I can prompt Photoshop for the same thing. So you can compare the two. It's pretty good. I'm just going to copy this very quickly. Come over here, just hit paste, okay? Here's another thing off the internet. The quality of this wood texture is maybe not as good as the AI one. If I press enter, they're both pretty decent. This one's a little more pixely though than that one. See, it's not that bad though. Like because I scaled it, it's okay. It's a texture. If it's something else, then it might not be as good, right? All right. So either way,
Milo?
yes.
So, when we are creating something for like a commercial purpose, sometimes the brief and the client says that we cannot add any AI images. So, in that case, can we not use this?
That's right. You don't use it. If you're given instructions not to do it, then you don't do it. But listen,
Right.
if it's a wood texture, how are they going to determine it was AI or if it was the actual internet? Because the wood texture is a wood texture, right?
Right.
Like this is the fine line. Like I mean, if I was to do this or get one off the internet, they both look pretty darn close. So you have to use your own discretion for that, and not to break rules. But if you know if you're not supposed to do something, just don't do it. Just do it the way the client suggests that you do it on the brief. Okay?
Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense, right? So in addition to this, now that I did this, let's say I'm doing a movie poster, okay? And I'm gonna call it, I don't know, something with wood, I guess, in the movies. So we're gonna go now. So I have a wood texture created. I'm gonna go with the type tool here, okay? But not just the normal type tool, everybody. If I hold the mouse, you can select the horizontal type tool. So be careful here because you gotta go all the way down here. This gives you, because if you just hit type, right? So you say, you know, this is hello. This is how the text tool works in Photoshop. Okay. And I like, again, this the actual bar here gives you all the main properties. So I can pick a different font. I can increase the size. Right. I can do lots of different things. I can change the color. I don't mind this little palette. It kind of gives you all the quick options available. But if you don't have this, to elaborate more, you got to use this over here. You can do the same thing here. Change the color this way, change the fonts, the styles, increase the size with Command Shift greater than, less than. Uh, you can
Hello, I have
also.
a question again. I'm so sorry. I totally missed where to pull up the generative texture. Like, where is it?
Oh, the texture that we did earlier.
Yeah, like where's the little bar? See, you've got that there. Where'd it come from?
Well, what version do you have? You might not have the version.
I have the one the school provided.
Um, I know, but that doesn't mean it's the latest one. You have to update it sometimes. It's up to you to update the latest one. Do you know which one? Can you go to like
School
up here?
provided 2023. You're using 2024.
Right. So which version do you have, Aaron?
How do I?
If
Just
you
look up top.
top left corner, what do you see? I have Photoshop 2024.
Well, okay, but I have a PC, so.
Okay. You should still have something about Photoshop here. You can see what version. Have mine's 25, which is 2024.
Okay. That's fine. I'm sure that is the issue. I cannot see it, and
that's okay. You'll get it eventually. That's fine. But honestly, we didn't need this stuff until now. It's there. I want to show it to you quickly. But this stuff you can get off the internet. You can get a picture of wood and just copy and paste it. Like I really like this one, for example. You know, better than the ones I got from AI or the other one. So if I copy this, if I place it here, I save it. I go back to Photoshop. I can just place that texture file. Again, place. Okay, so here's how you place images in Photoshop. Okay, you go to File, you go Place Embedded or Linked. Linked means you have to worry about the affiliation afterwards. It's like when you do InDesign and you have images that are affiliated with the file, or a website and you have images that are supporting the HTML document. You don't want to use this one right now. Stick with embedded. Embedded means it adds on, it becomes part of your file. This way you don't have to, rely on the image externally because it's embedded in the file that you're working on, which is the Photoshop file. So stick with this for now, everybody. Place embedded. I'm going to go to the wood texture, hit place. All right. Oh, that's a nice one. I'm just going to make it resize it a little bigger. Press enter. And this is it. So let's not worry about this AI stuff just yet. Maybe when you guys get your latest versions, I can cover that maybe in greater depth. But it's all it is just quicker ways to get things, basically. And of course, it has a lot more. But as they evolve it and update it, I'm sure it's going to become more robust in many ways. All right, so here's our texture. What I wanted to do is demonstrate the bevel and emboss effect from scratch. As you can see, the type tool, there's two ways to use it. You can click and type, then becomes like an actual character. Let me type something better. Title, right? The difference is with this, and if you press Command T, it'll become like an actual character, just like an Illustrator or InDesign title text box. But if you click and drag the mouse, then you drew a text box. And the text box basically works with the boundaries of the text, like the text edges and the content inside of it. So be very careful when to create a text box and when to create a text field or a title. So in this case, because if I'm doing a wood texture effect, I'm just going to create a normal text title, but not just a text title by itself, but a horizontal type mask tool implementation. So this bottom one here, okay, if you want to predetermine the size, I'm going to stick with maybe 97 I have here. I'll type 100, okay? 100, I'm going to click right here. It's going to create this mask. Remember like quick mask mode with the red thing that we did before? That's exactly what this looks like. I'm going to hide the bar for now just so I can focus on this. If you click anywhere outside the selection, you can move the text. Let me try this again. You got to kind of go on the baseline to move it. It's very finicky, so be careful. To move it, you got to just go underneath here. You have the move tool. You can move it around. Once you're happy with the position, okay, simply type whatever you like. Okay, I'm going to type in wood law. I don't know, some kind of show I think I saw on TV. And I'm going to make this ultra bold, maybe bold. You know what's bolder than this? Impact. Impact is a really heavy typeface. I'm going to make it bigger, maybe 150, right? So it's really, really heavy. And I can position it where I like. You see how I'm doing this all in a form of a selection. And I'm using a very unique tool only Photoshop has. It's called a horizontal type mask tool. What happens is now, as soon as I click away, or here, or even here on the outside, this becomes a selection. Because this is a selection now, What I can do is I can extract this selection from this texture by simply doing, remember, Command J, like we did like 2 weeks ago with the melon exercise. Remember we made all those selections and we assembled that melon head? Same rules apply, right? Same selection. It's just a different way of applying this now. It's in a text form, whereas if it was like a specific target form. So when I hit Command J or copy or paste, I extracted this as a separate layer. I'm just hiding this background so you can see it. And this layer 1 now becomes my beveled that I showed you earlier with that other example. So I'll call this my wood text. Okay, so I can clearly identify it here. And then I go to the move tool and I position it exactly where I want it to be. Maybe I'll do half and half, maybe I'll do it here, whatever, right? There's my wood law effect now. I just wanted to show you how to make this from scratch because that tutorial doesn't show you how to do that. The planet thing is easy because you can drag and drop images and do those effects. But the type effect, I think it's important that you know how to do this from scratch. This is why I'm doing this, the way I'm showing it to you step by step. Now, in addition to this, let's get back to the bevel and emboss effect. You simply double click here on the wood layer once it's extracted, and you can easily select bevel and emboss from the option here. I can even go like maybe a emboss. I can increase the size. I can make it softer, increase the depth a bit more if I want, reduce maybe the black and the white, and make this look like more like a three-dimensional type of effect on top of my design. Okay, and you can see how this looks a little more of a kind of like a wood carved effect. Well, if it's carved effect, I might want to switch it up a bit. So I can always go, once I've done it before, double click on the effect and change it to perhaps pillow emboss. So it looks like it's carved inside the wood. And then I can increase the size and the depth a bit or soften it up. Okay, and I can reduce some of these other elements so it looks like it's really carved inside. A little more subtle, right? So it looks like it's really carved inside the wood. And the nice thing is you can move it around anywhere you like and even resize it, and it'll follow all these things. And this could be like maybe a title for your poster or something that you're doing with in relation to the theme, and that's how you can situate these things like that. Alrighty, so this is like, let's say I'm doing a poster on wood law or some kind of a show, and I'm producing this texture effect that I want to implement on my theme. This is a good way to look. Could be metal, could be gold, fire. Think of all the earth elements, anything that you want. This is how you get the fancy stuff happening in Photoshop. It's super creative. And now with the AI stuff I showed you, I'll show you more of that later on, but just I want to not get too carried away with that stuff. Just keep it simple. Stick to my script, as they say, and teach you how to do this in a very simple way and produce some very, very nice effects. I'm going to save this, just like a good little exercise. We can continue for next week. So this is a poster setup example with emboss. Okay, so I'm going to save this on my computer. Notice when I save, you can save it on the cloud, or you can save it on your computer. I like to do both. I like to keep things on my computer just in case my internet goes down or something like that. I can always locally have the file accessible. You should always do the same thing. My Photoshop file, you always want to save this because it keeps all your layers and everything else intact. So when you save it, it's all good to go. Alrighty. Whoops, come on now. All right, so everyone is still good. Any questions? Everyone's good so far? So moving forward now. Okay, go ahead. Kushbu?
Hey, Professor, where is the path of recordings? I'm not able to find out.
You want to know where the recordings are located, Kushbu?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So just I do want to keep this as organized as possible. So the best way I see this fit is to have everything individually located. Let me go to student view so I can show you better where this is, right? So this is what you'll see right now. Okay, so the course outline, everything has like a folder built-in module. Here's the class modules. This is your go-to place, class modules. This is where all the classes are, and the virtual class link to join today's lesson, as you all know. This is your class exercises and assignments. This will be, I'll add more stuff here, right? This is your main projects. So right now you have the movie poster assigned. Okay, so that's your big project that you have to do. The composite assignments is the one that we talked about with Roberto and Sheila and the other teachers. This is something that we do collaborative. So you're working on two things right now. You have a main project probably in other classes and mine, and you have a composite assignments, okay? And sometimes I'll give you some exercises along the way. This is your go-to. Resources is what I use for you to download material for you to work with me in the classroom. So today I asked you to get layers and selections. I also gave you Photoshop tools, quick tips to get images. So these are like supplementary files or auxiliary files. But the main question to answer your question is class modules. Let's go to class 1, for example. So this is your class right here. This is a tutorial that I have from before. This is how you can access my video. So if you click here, you should go to the video lesson of the very first day we all met. It's being recorded. We're going to start using the application. I don't like listening to my own voice, but there you go. So this is how you can watch the recordings from before. Module number 2, same thing, class 2 selections. This is the video link, okay? Class number 3 last week. This is the video link for that. Just make sure it works. September the 21st, this session's being recorded. All right, so there you go. And then you have module number 4, which is today's lesson. I will have a video there. Okay, so for every module, for each class, we'll make sure we'll put a video there for each one. All right. Any other questions? Good question.
Oh, yeah.
People do get mixed up where things are. I know. It takes a while to get used to. Keika, go ahead.
So every time I try to watch the recording, so I don't have like access first and I have to request the access. So is it possible to open the access from the beginning for you?
I tried doing it. I talked to my other colleagues and they also had the same problem. I don't know why this is so. I don't know why. It should be very easy. Like honestly, I don't see any. I'll try to reach out to the IT people to get this resolved. I know it's a pain in the butt sometimes to keep going through it. For now, keep requesting until we figure this out. I know it's not the best option available. Maybe it's a security thing. I don't know. They always have these other like two-factor authentications and all these things that are some is good for security purposes, but this stuff I really don't think it's necessary.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right. Any other questions? Okay. So like I said, these videos, to access them, we're going to have to, I'll see if there's a way to, so you don't have to ask permission all the time. But don't feel bad. I'll check my emails every day. Sometimes I get like, honestly, I get too many emails. We have bigger classes now. So even to mark your assignments will take me a little longer, all of us. Okay, so just be patient with us. It's the fall. It's always like that, right? You always get bigger quantities in the fall time, which is good. It's a better environment than having like, let's say, a handful of people. So it's good to have bigger classes. It's reasonable. So once I figure this out, I'll keep you posted on that. So you don't have to ask permission all the time. But otherwise, just don't feel bad. Just ask me, and you should access these files or videos. Okay, I'll make sure I'm more attentive to my emails with the access stuff. Other than that, I think we're gonna stop for today. I want you to get started on this poster, so please do that. Do you have a class today, or you're pretty much home all day today? You're not going to school today, right?
No, we don't have class.
Perfect. So you can use like the rest of the day to get your poster started. Start with 11 by 17. and you can just maybe look for themes, ideas, do some thumbnails. Maybe it's not better just to start with 11 by 17, but set up the format so you know where you're going with this. Look at some other ideas. Do you want to see some examples from students that have done the movie poster from before?
Sure, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, I'm sure all of you want to see that, right? Okay. Let me show you some of that as we wrap it up. And then next lesson, I saved the best for last. Like the next lesson for next week will be really fortified with all these things that we're covering so far and more. So let me just quickly finish with that segment, and then we'll go through the examples. So this is where we left off today, layers and effects. All right. I want to show you layer masks next week. This is an important lesson, how to do layer masks. So I want to get into detail with that. And then I'm going to do the lesson all review folder. So we're going to do these two for next week. I'll just mark this orange and red because these two we did today. So these are going to be done for next week, okay? And then we're gonna get that poster started as well, okay? I'll do like another example. But today I did show you how to set this thing up with the 11 by 17 size. And that's how you get it going. All right, so let me just quickly go here now. Give me 1 second. I'm going to stop sharing for a second because I want to make sure I find my right stuff here. There we go. It's my UX UI stuff. Photoshop projects. Okay, so I got one here. Movie posters. Yeah, okay, good. I got some nice ones to show you there. Fall term. Section B. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and I gotta share my screen again. Okay, 1 second. Can you all see my screen again?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay. All right, great. So let's go and show you this poster project from my previous sections that I've had. This is back in 2023, for example. This is just this year, actually. We're going to go to the Photoshop folder, and this is the Photoshop projects for my students in the past. As you can see, there's a lot. Look, there's the composite. I'll show you some both, actually. Let's go with the movie posters first. So the movie posters this is what I've received from my previous students. Some of them are PDFs, some of them are PSD files. I just kept the PDFs because they're smaller in size. The Photoshop files do get large. I save those on a separate hard drive, but these are the PDFs that some of the students have done. Okay, so I guess this is a Netflix series called Emily in Paris. I'm not familiar with it, but notice how she incorporated Illustrator and Photoshop together. Some of you asked me earlier, how do you do both? Well, I know it's for the composite, but you can also incorporate it for other projects as well. So you can see here how this was assembled using all the methods learned in Photoshop. There's some layer blends in the background, drop shadow effects, superimpositioning, different selection methods. Everything in the criteria that was asked for was delivered. Here's another one over here. It's called Taxi. This is another movie, a collage. Harry Potter, of course. Okay, you can see that one there. Like I said, I had to flatten these to show you because the file size were too big. Here's another one over here. It's another Superman poster. Of course, we all know the show Breaking Bad. Yes, this is another poster for that. Barbershop 4. I don't think there's a Barbershop 4, but anyways, I don't mind if you reinvent the wheel and come up with something different. Even like a sequel or a prequel to something, you can come up with one. And that's how that was done there. Minions. Again, you can incorporate some Illustrator techniques with Photoshop techniques together. Okay. All right, some other horror type of movie. There's a lot of those coming out now for just in time for the Halloween season. Okay, here's an interesting one as well. Also, okay, so this is a poster. This is a Netflix show. But if you want to do a poster of an event or something that's happening in the future, I also let that go as well. So if you want to do a poster about, let's say, I don't know, the Olympics, or we have the World Cup last year was around this time. Students actually did a movie poster on the World Cup or something related to the current events. It was still a poster, and it wasn't really on a movie, but they asked me for permission, and I said, sure, no problem, because they still incorporated the same techniques and demonstrated everything that was part of the requirements, but it wasn't a movie, it was an event. So if you really want to do that, something in that regard, if something's really coming up, like the Toronto Film Festival was around the corner, like that's fine too, because they might capture more information, maybe more movies that are streamlined through that event. Here's Interstellar. This one was done really well. I wish I can show you the Photoshop file. Actually, this is the Photoshop file here. So you can see here how this student utilized all these different layer techniques, uh, like soft light. See, this is like a blend mode effect, some other blend mode effects. Like it was really went to town with this one. How to make folders and sub layers. Okay, even the credits and stuff. Look, this is the crack in the helmet was generated as well. See the crack in the helmet? Okay, so all that was done. Then there's the planets in the background, the suit. Okay, this is all done from scratch for Interstellar. So really, really well done composition. Met all the criteria points and beyond. And this was a nice, nice movie poster. And of course, if you haven't seen the movie Interstellar, it's a really good movie as well. And that's how that was done. All right, this is another one over here. I showed you that one already. This is another one. I guess the Fast and Furious movie. Another one you can definitely take advantage of. All these movies that you see, all these series, you can definitely use those ideas as well. This is an international film festival. Okay, Dharmashala International Film Festival. So it was a poster about that. It wasn't a poster about the movie. And this was 36 November. Oh, it's coming up, 2023. It's pretty recent. Here's another Photoshop file I kept to show you. The Evil Dead. So this one, you can see here how the knife is a separate. See, it's like a mask element. You can see right through it, right? And of course, you have the image in the background and all these other different things, which next week we'll cover some of the more advanced masking techniques, but the composition's still there. See, like it's all about selections, backgrounds, and different things you can do with your layers to make this poster come to life. So it's the evil, the opposite of the Evil Dead. All right, I'm not going to save this, of course, just to show you how that was composed. And this is the PDF, of course, so you can see the final preview. There's another one here. I guess another, I guess, a movie or biography about Dua Lipa there. The Squid Game. Okay, so if you like a popular show on Netflix, you can recreate an existing one and just have your own spin on it. That's fine. So they recreated the Squid. I'm sure they're making a new one now. So they made a like a sequel, or the original poster was redesigned. So if you do have a movie that you really liked or a series you want to recreate a poster for it, that's okay too. It doesn't have to be something upcoming or futuristic. Okay, so this is like a documentary here for the Istanbul earthquake. All right. And then there's another one over here. This is kind of interesting. I really like how they use different rotated elements. Here's another Netflix show, the 1899. There's another one over here. So see, typography is a big component as well, because you have to have some typography to make it look authentic. So I do want you to definitely incorporate that. Here's another one over here. Kind of hard to see this, but if you zoom in, you can see some of the details. Another one over here. Perfume. This was totally made up, I think, too.
No, that's an actual movie, Milo.
Oh, Perfume's a movie?
Yeah, I watched it. It's a story of a murderer. So
It's a
it's
good
a old
movie.
film. Yeah.
I never seen it. I thought because she told me, she's like, "Can I make one up?" I remember the Yakaterina.
No, it's actually a movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But this was all obviously well, the poster was nothing close to what she did, obviously, right?
No, no.
Is it a good movie?
Yeah, very interesting. It's like this
Oh yeah,
person
it's
that
a good
he,
movie.
he just smells scents. Like he just smell in order to make like good perfume. But it's like a very horrific background because he killed people in order to get their body fluids to make the perfume.
I remember now. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah. It's an
So
old
yeah,
movie.
yeah,
It's
but
good.
look, yeah. So look at what she did, and thank you for correcting me there. I thought
Yeah.
she, because look at all the work she put into this too, right?
Yeah, I see.
See all the different layers and different components there. Even the bottle was done, right? It was really done. Wonder what the original poster looks like. Sometimes I do go ahead and investigate, but if I have some time. All right, so that was a horror movie called Perfume. And here's another one here. Another movie. And another, this is more like the anime stuff, Attack of the Titan. So whatever you're into, it'll qualify into this, criteria. You can do any show, movie, whatever you guys like, no problem. Even if it's made up or you want to kind of create something, it's fine. And this is the last one here. Okay, here's another one. This one's a good too, because all the effects, look at all the glow effects we did today, the planets and stuff, it was all integrated with this. And you can see even the lens flare effect was utilized. All right. So what'd you think of these movie posters? Does that kind of raise the bar for you? Or it was a healthy group. This was like 24 students I had then, I guess. Now I have a bigger section with you guys. You're in your 30s. So I can't wait to keep getting good material to show my next students. So you guys are the new generation. All right. Any questions so far? I think I'm going to stop the recording at this point because I think I showed you enough with the not just the lesson, but some of the constructive methods of how to get this project started. I talked about the projects, both of them, the collaborate one with the other teachers and the one that's due for this class in 2 weeks, by the way. The only thing is, and the samples as well. So I hope you use all this information to help you. And I'm going to sign off on this recording and then I'll come back and ask some questions. Okay, so this recording is done. I'll see you in the next video. And you might have to request to watch it until I figure this thing out. I'll try to cancel the request if possible. Okay, bye for now.